I'm still trying to figure my way around the software, so I must have done something and caused it to quit out. But it is what it is. Let's keep going. So what I was saying was, I'm far from perfect. You know, I have my issues. Um, I just don't want you guys to think, oh, Ed's always putting it out there like he's the man, like he just knows what he's doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Everything I know, I learn on the fly. So, do my best to try and keep my ducks in a row. You know. So that works. There we go. So that's what I'm using for reference. It's the Master Killer poster, and I mean, not doing too shabby of a job so far. At least ways I don't think. Save that. We'll wait until this crashes on us. And you guys get to see page 5. I haven't finished coloring page 4 yet, but I do like to set up my next pages so that it's just a little bit easier on me next time. You know? X. We have to do that. Yeah. Move that back to where it was. Copy. Poster B. Paste. Yup. Just what I thought. This is going to be interesting. It's a learning experience for all of us. So I want to try and make sure that this copy stays the width of the image. Does it have to? No. Is it best if I do it that way? Yeah, kind of. No. To this poster. That's why. Okay. So the big M in the background, that has an effect on it. And a lot of times that will just cause problems. Because like the computer, no matter what, I have to have it, like it just takes into account that effect. And if I zoom in, zoom out, it has to, it's a thing. It's a whole thing. Copy. Come on. This is not, like, I'm not having a good time with this. Really, I think that's what it is. It's the size. It's the fact that I was working so large. That it was causing memory issues. And I feel like now's the perfect opportunity for me to center that graphic. It's going to be them there. Right, like that. Okay. I'm going to go up here. center that little crosshair. Go like this. Fill. Boop. What? Oh, because I'm on the sketch layer. Go below the sketch. Deselect. Turn that off. Nope, you don't get to see that yet. You haven't finished your dinner, so you don't get dessert. That's what I'm looking to do. Is make it so that this copy just this is the width of that. It's going to go there. What does it say? Something presentation, blah, 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 distributed by blah, 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 North America. Okay, so that font down there is an industry-wide font, distributed by now. Oh, that's why. Okay. All right. Whatever. I'm in my head. I'm wondering why when I type in the font, it's defaulting to like that pale green, and it's because when I'm in my swatches at the bottom, that's what I had selected. It's for something else, but it defaults to like the black that I was using for inks. Helvetica condensed. Booyakasha. Fake bolded. Spread it. What is the black that I use? I really should write that down someday. Oh, there we go. Delete. Double short. Thank you. I'm sure you got something kind of cool, but maybe not really. I don't know. Depends on what you consider cool. I consider it cool. So if you're making something, you're like, oh my god, that's cool. It's like the, and I'm rambling. The type of kid that watches I'm 46 years old. I'm not a kid anymore. The type of guy that watches something and they mention how it gets made, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. So come here, and I should have a pen nearby, and I generally do. The hexadecimal on that is 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, super good. See why in a second. I wrote that down. There you go. And then we double click on the highlighted, and the hexadecimal is daily 2, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. That is why I wrote down that hexadecimal, because it's easier to do a hexadec. So here, Mandalex, pages, or wait, it's a Maverick design. Oh. Reference? Oh man, where is it? Is it a reference? Dude, what did I do with this? Is it in Daniel Pacino? Nope. Is it in RTP? Nope. So I did something the other day. That was super cool, and I don't know what the heck I did with it. Golly. Oh yeah, I was working on something else for Alex. It's Heroica, which is pretty cool. So I'm a big fan of like Shazam, um, and I wonder if I stopped streaming. No, I'm still on. Super good. So I'm a big fan of Shazam, and Alex has a character called Heroica, and this is weird. It's not doing it anymore. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not even gonna prove it, or I should. I should. So Alex has a character called Heroica, and it's sort of like Shazam, where the guy transforms into a hero that's greater than him, and it's mad cool. And I did a couple strips, and then Alex was like, "Wait, Alex, I think I want you to do this instead." And I was like, "All right, cool." Man. So yeah, I did this thing. Dude, is it all supported formats? Here's something I did from Alex the other day, and I want to find it. That's why. That's why. That is why. Okay. So, Clip Studio Paint can only recognize certain file formats, and it recognizes a Photoshop file, but it does not recognize an Illustrator file. So I did something the other day that was for Alex, and I did it in Illustrator. And I didn't open the Illustrator file in Photoshop so I could translate it and save it out as a Photoshop file so I could open it if I needed to in Clip Studio Paint. It's kind of a house that Jack built scenario, but it's in my head it makes sense, and that's usually the only time it makes sense. Drink water. Look at all these people. Okay. So I don't think you guys can see this right now. I think all this is showing you is that I think all you're seeing right now is the poster on Clip Studio. So and actually what I'm doing is I have Photoshop open. So I have OBS, and I guess I have the screen that I do the show on, and I have it centered on the Clip Studio screen. I don't have it centered on the actual screen, like the actual monitor. Because if I did that, what would happen is it would just create this like tunnel. just tiny tunnel effect. It's not something you guys want to be a part of. Not the Maverick Crest. Where am I? Oh, that's why. Not on the... What? Huh? No, this should be working. So I'm going to open, go to PC, go to hard drive. So I'm in an external hard drive that I'm using to save all this stuff. So we're on the hard drive, we go to Maverick, we go to Maverick Design, and there it is. I don't know why it wasn't recognizing it before. I think it's because I was on the desktop. It's just, dude, I have my files all over the place. It's crazy. Super crazy. So I'm going to save this out. Boop. On the top is a Photoshop file. Quit out of this. Go here. Open this up. Open the Alex folder. There it is. I skipped any books, any projects. It was right there at the top, just in case I needed it. Convert. Yeah, I get it. There we go. We'll go here. We'll do that. And now it's the 0, 1000. Do that. X. Commit D. Go here. There. Scroll down. Can you imagine what I could do with a computer that was a professional grade computer? That would be dangerous. That would be dangerous, bro. Look at that. So that's the logo for Mavericks Entertainment, which is the company that Mavericks Rose is from. Come on, man. So go to images, tools, size large, color, black and white. My favorite color is you. Where's the one that says R? It's got a lot of violence, and stay away because it hurts the kid's face. You know, X used to be a rating above R, and it had nothing to do with sex. It was like crazy violent. There was that's a GIF. I could try that, right? 1520 by 85, 855. How about this? Open image in new tab. Go here. Copy that image. Go over here. So we go. Paste down. Where am I? There. Convert layer from color to monochrome. Just the white. Get rid of the black. Then we'll go back here. Convert layer from monochrome to color. Okay. Then we will go like this. Go to edit, convert I'm dangerous. I am dangerous. Look at what I do. See what I just did, Alex, if you're watching? I know sometimes you Mavericks, Rogues guys like to hop on my stream and see what I'm doing with your Manalix character. Let's see, to shoot again, Manalix. I gotta switch that over and apply the layer mask. And this, we'll move up to here. Do this. Do that. But it is not centered, so it should be something like that. Look at that. What? And we'll close this out. So you're looking at that. We'll drop the poster down. 635. Am I still streaming? It says stop streaming, so I must be still streaming. I have to still be doing that, right? Okay. So, reload this page and see if I can't go and use this as my. It's a black screen. Am I still live? Yeah, it is what it is. Let's keep going. I'm going to keep going. Just keep going. Okay, so this is, it's based on Manalix, Pages, Daniel. It is based on this. Because, like I was saying last night, there's an upcoming storyline which involves Daniel Pesina, who is the actor who played Johnny Cage in the original Mortal Kombat movies. Now, that doesn't mean anything to you, but I'm kind of a 90s kid. You know? I was just coming out of my teens in the early 90s, and my wife loves to hear this. She's all about it. She's like, tell me again what you were doing in the 90s. And I tell her. And what she tells me is, I was a baby back then. And that doesn't make me feel creepy at all. Because, why should that be creepy? You're out, you're a 21-year-old, you're like a soldier in the United States Army, and your wife's pooping in diapers. Is to be absolutely transparently clear, my wife, who I love with all my heart, she's such a beautiful human being. She and I have a 15-year difference. Now, is it creepy? I guess. Depends on who you talk to, But, I don't think it is. I mean, I think to one degree or another, sometimes age matters. Like a lot of people will say, it doesn't matter, it's just a number. No, it's not a number, it matters. Because there are people that are just like emotionally retarded. I know the R word is not socially acceptable anymore. It's just not. And I mean it in a mechanical sense where people are stunted and their growth is limited. It's just they haven't evolved properly. And I don't mean it in the derogatory sense where it's used to degrade someone with a disability. I mean it in the sense that this person's forward growth has been limited. there's just experience sometimes that comes with age that you just can't. You can't match it. You can't. You can be on the same page, and you guys can agree about the same things, where to eat breakfast. Sometimes it just can't. You just. You're not going to tell me that a 19-year-old has the same amount of emotional intelligence and, you know, the same level of heartfelt maturity that someone in their 40s would have. You can't tell me that someone in their 20s has the same amount of life experience. On average. I mean, there are outliers to everything. There are people that have experienced a lot and do have a level of emotional maturity that some 40-year-olds just don't have. It's just that I find that sometimes it is creepy. You know, it's just like, hey man, you do realize that there's a socially implied contract. Oh my. Am I getting above, I'm like going above people's heads. Okay. An implied contract isn't one that you absolutely enter into. It's one that it's inferred. It's like you're expected to do something. Like you're not legally obligated, but you're morally and socially obligated. Like you're in public and you're about to see an old lady get run over by a dump truck. You have one of two options: stand and laugh, or help and make sure she doesn't get hit by a truck. And if you don't help her, then you're going to have to deal with it. You're going to have to deal with the repercussions, the guilt, all of it. You know, moral obligation. I'm just rambling. Just rambling. What? And I get it. You know, my use of the R word is it's not a good thing. But I wasn't using it in the sense that I was being negative and derogatory. I was using it in the sense that there are people that their growth is limited. It's stopped. It's slowed. You know, they just haven't had the opportunity to move forward, to explore, to grow as human beings. You've just kind of been stopped. And I hope that that suffices as an apology. Because I don't mean to offend anybody with a disability, and I definitely don't look to make those folks feel bad. So what I can do is no, because the top of this has the stripes that Alex has on his uniform. Right? Because the way this is set up is it's supposed to, the colors are just about the same as Alex's uniform. It's almost like they're from the same school. They're like Power Rangers, except they're different color Power Rangers. It's like he's Tommy, and Manalix behind him is the Austin St. James Red Power Ranger, because that's the only one that actually exists. All the other ones don't. You can fight me on this. You really could. You can fight me on this. Stand behind Austin St. James being the only Red Power Ranger for several reasons. First and foremost, he's an ex-combat medic with the United States Army, so you stand by my boy. So those combat medics have made me feel better more than a couple times when I've come back from a night of drinking and needed a vitamin B IV in order to right my ship. I would go over to the aid station and they would hook me up. I'm not going to name names because that is not something they typically do. And I don't know what the standard of limitations is on something like that, especially for UCMJ. Snitches get stitches. We don't do that. Oh, that's what I did for the design on the belt. Okay. I made like a V shape, and it makes more sense to me now that I'm looking at it. Because if there's a V shape, when he bends and flexes, his abs won't rub into like a straight. It just makes more sense to me. There's a lot of stuff that I do when I draw it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it needs to make sense. I can't just draw it for the sake of it being pretty. I blame Alex Ross. There were other guys after him, but when Alex Ross came onto the scene, he did this really great story called Marvels. And Marvels was this beautiful, beautiful story that was done, set in the Marvel Universe, and it was a photographer that worked for the Daily Bugle, and he lost his eye while he was photographing something, I forget what it was, but he lost one of his eyes, and it was because of superheroes. And he decided later on in his life that he was going to write this book about superheroes. And he had this notion that like society became lazy because superheroes existed. And it wasn't like a negative thing. It wasn't like he was like, this is a conspiracy theory. All the superheroes have to die. That's not what it was. It was one of those things he wondered to himself, and he just kind of, he put it out there, and he searched. He just kind of like looked through all of his photos and where's my sketches? Yeah, who's there? Okay, so if I'm on that, why isn't that doing anything? Oh, because you're using the eraser in your claw. So, back to what I was saying. The guy thought about, you know, maybe society got lazy because all these heroes came around and solved their problems for them. And one of the things that I took away from it was that he used his head and did a bunch of things in that book with the designs that just really led to some other stuff. And one of the things he did was Spider-Man's costume. And what he did with Spider-Man's costume was he designed it as if a teenage boy had designed Spider-Man's costume. And he had said in the notes, because if I remember right, in the backs of the issues, Alex Ross had his design notes, and he had said, well, I had always figured if a teenage boy designed a costume like this, he wouldn't have done it in like a bright blue and a red. He would have done it in like a black and a red. And it just stuck with me. It was like, he's right. You know, as a kid, I wouldn't have worn that bright blue and the red. That's way too bright. It's not something I would have wanted. I would have done something else. And then, when the years went on, there was the whole group of Ultimates. The Ultimates books that, like, Brian Michael Bendis was a part of, and I think the Kubrick kids, like Adam and Andy, I think they were a part of it. But there was a lot of psychology that was brought into those books, and they boiled down the characters to their bare psychology. And it started to make me think about the design of characters and how things... It started to make me think about the design of characters and how things get drawn, and it put me on this whole path where... put me on this whole path where I started to really think about what it is I do. What it is I do when I work with this stuff. Like I use my head, or I do my best to use my head, and I think, oh, well, I got to design a gun that does this, but if I had to do that, how would I do it knowing how guns work, how weapons work? I do a lot of research. When someone tells me, oh, it's inspired by this, cool, it's inspired by that, guess what I'm going to go do? I'm going to go and I'm going to research that. Because I'm not going to be the guy that doesn't use that spot of reference as inspiration for building. It's a point of pride, really. So if I'm gonna work on something for somebody, dude, I'm gonna work on something for somebody, then I'm gonna do my best to make sure that I'm using my head. It needs to be believable, you know? Isn't there something in, like, magic? Like performance magic that they say about that? It's like the story needs to have a level of believability. Come on, catch up. So I put a video up tonight. I put a video on I put a couple of videos. Put a video up on my Instagram and my Facebook page, just basically letting you guys know that I am looking to get my pages, both Insta and my Facebook art page. I'm looking to get them up to 1,000 followers, and it's just because, you know, I'm trying to create a good experience for folks. I want people to enjoy coming to my page and watching me stream and approaching me at conventions and enjoying my work. And to commemorate it all, I plan to give away some of my artwork. And it's original artwork. It's not like, hey, I had this print that I got in a cereal box when I was like 7. Because I think that would be my poster of the Super Friends that I got from Sugar Crisp. And I'm not giving that away. If I were to have that, that just wouldn't work. But original artwork, maybe some sketch covers, definitely some of the variant covers I've worked on. And I was hoping that if anybody heard or saw the video, that they might be able to give some advice. Might be able to say, hey, what do you want to do now? And there's another video that got put out tonight, and that's by Silent Mayhem Productions. And that video is essentially the primer for the Kickstarter for the book that I'm working on, the Hell Plug-in Velocicock book for Hellbringers. Sounds so dirty. Yeah, I know. Doesn't it? It's not dirty, but it is fun. It's like, it's kind of like an 80s buddy cop movie. It reminds me a lot of like Tango and Cash and like the 48 Hours sort of movies. Movies with Stallone. Those movies are good. But yeah, I told you guys I'm going to be doing a lot this year. Did I tell you guys that? I don't know. I know there have been times when I've said that in the past. I've been like, hey, I'm totally blowing up this year. And then things kind of like fizzle out, you know. You get a heart valve replaced, you lose a job, break up with a girl, and your life kind of like completely changes. I guess I have a way of creating my own chaos. I don't know. That's just me. I want you guys to take into consideration those videos. If you have the compunction to share the videos that I make, if you maybe have the wherewithal to help me grow and give me suggestions about how I can choose who to give the artwork to. Oh, I don't know if I made it clear in the video, so I'll repeat myself. What happens is, when we reach 1,000, and we've figured out how this person gets to win, like how we choose the person who gets to win, that person will be able to take a look at the artwork I have, the artwork that I'm going to give away, and they will get to choose a piece. And then that person and I will discuss whether or not they would like a sketch cover. And we will I'll also discuss whether or not they would like prints that I have, like copies of the prints that I have on hand. We can discuss whether or not those people would like copies. What did I say? Okay, prints, artwork, copies of the alt covers I've done. Did I say sketch cover, print? Artwork, print, sketch cover, variant covers. I should do it. Yeah, I should. I'll autograph them if you'd like. Whatever. We'll do that. So I'm looking at the clock. It shows as 7 o'clock. So let's take a look at what we have so far. That's where we're at. Nice, clean, Alex artwork. I'm going to ship this over to Alex and show him so he can drool over it and be like, that looks really good. And I can tell him, oh, shucks, man, just weren't nothing. I don't call him man. He's a good guy. Alex is a really good guy. All the rogues are. Oh, dude. Okay. That's it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to call it a night. So, you guys, thanks for watching. I certainly appreciate you guys tuning in and checking things out. And, yeah, thanks a lot. See you tomorrow.